All right, today we are diving deep into a masterpiece of post-war Japanese literature. It's a story about obsession, about deception, and really about the terrifying void that's left when a thirst for love, well, when it curdles into something much, much darker. We're talking about Thirst for Love by the absolutely brilliant and, pretty controversial Yukio Mishima. This came out in 1950, and it's not some huge sweeping epic. No, it's a claustrophobic, incredibly intense journey right into the mind of one woman, Etsuko, as she tries to navigate a life she never ever chose for herself. And that really brings us to the core question of the entire novel, doesn't it? What happens when that fundamental human need for love, for connection, gets twisted? When the person you're focused on is gone, where does all of that intense energy even go? You see, Mishima doesn't just tell you a story. He paints this incredible atmosphere. He describes life as this limitless, complex sea, a world that's beautiful one minute and absolutely terrifying the next. And as you're about to see, this is the very sea our main character is drowning in. So let's meet her, Etsuko. Now, on the surface, she seems like this quiet, proper young widow. She's moved to the countryside to live with her late husband's family. But underneath that calm exterior, oh, there is a storm raging. A storm of repressed passion, of jealousy, and just this desperate, gnawing emptiness. So after her husband dies, you'd think Etsuko would find some kind of peace, right? Nope. Instead, her inner turmoil finds a physical home. She's basically in a new kind of prison in the countryside with the Sugimoto family. And let me tell you, this place isn't a home. It's a web of resentment, suspicion, and really strange desires. And get this, the family's dysfunction is so bad, they don't even eat their meals together. They live as four totally isolated units, all under one roof. And look where Etsuko is. See that? She's paired with Yakiuchi, her elderly father-in-law. Just that living arrangement alone becomes this huge source of tension and gossip. And at the center of this whole web is Yakichi. This is a guy who's lost all his power out in the real world, but he is determined to exert every last bit of it here, on his land and over the people on it. He and Etsuko start this really disturbing, murky relationship, one that kind of blurs the lines between protector and predator. But you have to ask, why is he like this? Well, his own son, Kensuke, spells it out for us. The post-war land reforms basically stripped Yakiaki of the status he'd built his entire life on. You know, in a Japan that was being totally reshaped overnight, his whole world just vanished. And that bitterness, that feeling of being wronged by the world, that's what now fuels his need for total control inside the family. Okay, but to really, really understand what's going on in Etsuko's head, we have to go back. Mishima gives us this absolutely stunning flashback to the death of her unfaithful husband, Ryosuke. And what we learn here, it completely reframes everything you think you know about her. So her husband, a guy who cheated on her constantly, he comes home with typhoid fever. And for 16 days, Etsuko nurses him with this terrifying, all-consuming intensity. It's just a rapid, brutal sickness that ends in his death. A tragedy, right? Well, not exactly. This is, without a doubt, one of the most chilling lines in the entire book. The period of her husband's agonizing death was the happiest time of her life. Why? I mean, what could possibly explain that? It's because for the very first time, he was completely hers. His sickness trapped him. He couldn't leave, he couldn't cheat, he couldn't escape her. He was finally just a piece of debris washed up at her feet, and she had absolute, total control. Her nursing, it wasn't an act of love, it was an act of possession. This is what she's thinking as she's accompanying his coffin to the crematorium. You see, his death wasn't about losing him. It was about finally destroying the jealousy that had eaten her alive for years. It was her liberation. But with that all-consuming fire gone, what's left? A void, a total void. And a desperate heart will do just about anything to fill a void. All of that intense, repressed energy that used to be focused on her jealousy, well, now it needs a new target, and it finds one in the most unlikely of places. Her attention just locks onto Saburo. He's young, he's healthy, he's uncomplicated. He is the complete opposite of her tormented past, which makes him the perfect, pure, simple object for her to project all of her very complicated desires onto. And her observation of him is just incredibly detailed. She doesn't just see him, she dissects him. Her gaze is obsessive, almost predatory.
She notices the golden fuzz on his arms, a tiny, tiny detail that just reveals the enormous depth of her fixation. So she goes out and buys him socks. And this simple, mundane purchase, it becomes a vessel for everything she can't say out loud. The act of buying socks for Saburo becomes her only connection to a future, the only hope she can offer to tomorrow. It's pathetic, it's desperate, and it's also deeply, deeply human. And this all leads us to the novel's most powerful revelation. This is the part that just blows open the massive chasm between the woman Etsuko pretends to be and the woman she actually is. So, remember Yakuchi, the controlling father-in-law? He thinks he's so clever. He thinks he's getting inside her head because he secretly reads her diary every single night. He believes he's uncovering all her secrets. But the joke is completely on him, because the diary he's reading is a total fabrication, a lie. In it, she writes something like, "The child seems to be mending. I was relieved." But her real thought? That's too bad. She actually wishes the child would die, just to spite the mother who gossips about her. This reveals the real Etsuko. She is venomous, bitter, and profoundly alone. And this line just says it all, doesn't it? She has become a master performer. She understands that the biggest lies aren't the ones you tell other people, but the ones you tell about your own feelings, creating this perfect mask of simplicity to hide an absolute raging storm inside. And so this is where we're left. Etsuko builds a completely false self for the entire world to see. Her diary is false, her walk is false, her whole demeanor is false. But the one thing she cannot fake, the one thing that is terrifyingly, dangerously real, is the thirst itself. A thirst for love, for possession, for meaning. A thirst so powerful it threatens to consume everyone around her. So what happens when that thirst finally boils over? Well, for that, you'll have to read the book.